Hello everybody. Welcome to another live stream. I hope you're all doing really well and that you're all having a good day. We're here. It has been a while since I've been live. I haven't been live in like a week, but life has been kind of hectic. I've been taking care of a lot of stuff, and just not really able to stream as much as I would like. Hello, Wewin. How are you? Welcome. Yeah, with the engagement and everything, there's things that I'm starting to have to take care of, being involved in the planning, basically, and just like trying to kind of not burn out. I kind of overdid it over the last little while, so I tried my best to not burn out over the last week. And just take some time off. Sorry, my camera's all off center here. There we go, on TikTok. But yeah, so I took a week off to kind of do my own thing and take care of things. I went to go see Nora on Saturday. I hadn't seen her in over a year, so I went to go see her. It's almost a 4-hour drive out there. I spent a few hours with her and then a 4-hour drive back. So 8 hours of driving, long time on the road. And how's it going? Welcome. How are you? I literally just pressed live. I've been properly live for 4 minutes. I've been talking for about a minute. So yes, right at the beginning. It was nice. We went to go eat. We went to a little arcade in her town. Then we went to the beach and had some ice cream. So it was nice. We had about 4 hours together. Obviously I couldn't stay super long because of how long the drive is, and I work on the Friday night into Saturday, so I only slept a couple of hours. And driving all the way out there, it's mostly farmland on the drive, so it was the worry that I would fall asleep. And so I drove out there. I was okay. On the way back, it was really tough to stay awake, because I dropped her off at around 7:30, I think it was, in the evening. And I didn't get home till a little after 10. No, a little after 11. I can't even remember anymore. But yeah, I was getting real tired on the drive home. But it was really nice to see her. Yes, perfect timing, and perfect timing. But yeah, it was nice. And then yesterday was Labor Day, but I had to work. So Labor Day here, I don't know if that even exists in Europe. But I had to work, and so that was okay. I've got a new neighbor downstairs. Overall, not bad. She does listen to music a little bit loudly, but it's bearable. When I have like my TV on and stuff, it's not as loud. The one downside is she has a dog, and she works as a nurse, so she's gone for 12 plus hours a day, and I have to listen to the dog howling and barking for 12 plus hours of the day. And it's right below me, so it's a little bit frustrating. Still not as bad as the old neighbors I had that were upstairs, because their dog never stopped barking. This one barks for like 5 minutes and then stops for like half an hour, then barks for another 5 minutes and stops for half an hour. So it's annoying. It's a bit more clear. I can hear the dog more clearly because it's below me and the vents are downstairs, so like the sound travels through the vents. But thankfully it's not consistent, so it is what it is. Ty, how you doing, man? How is the streaming going? How are things? Yeah, exactly. And at least it's an upgrade. Overall she's fairly quiet. I can hear her talk a little bit, but I'm also very, very quiet in this house. Like the most I'll have on is like my tablet, but then there are times where I'm just like in complete silence, and so of course I can hear everything. But I can say I haven't been woken up by the dog barking. I haven't been woken up by her, so it's I can't really complain. It's annoying, but I can't really complain. I think that the annoyance is more when I moved in here, nobody lived downstairs. It was not an apartment downstairs. I have to deal with the 2-year-old upstairs, and now I've got to deal with the barking downstairs. So it's like it's a sandwich of sound. Especially because I wanted the upstairs apartment originally when we first looked at this place, and we were told no because Nora used to live here. Nora was, how old was she? 5 when we moved here? 5 or 6 when we moved here. And so we weren't allowed upstairs because they said that she was going to be making too much noise, and then they let a 2-year-old move in upstairs. So it's just one of those things where it's like I would have preferred to be upstairs, because then that way all the noise would be below me, but now it's below and above me, and so a little bit annoying. But you know what, It is what it is. Um, yeah, doesn't it get exhausting, Ty, having to look up the whole time? That's why, like, I had the vertical monitors, but that's why I stopped doing that, because I was like, my neck hurts, and it was just a slight up because it was touching my bottom monitor, and my bottom monitor was right on the desk, so it was low. It was still too frustrating. Now I'm doing the one wide, like ultra wide, which is, I wish it was one of the even wider ultra wides. Then the aspect ratio would be a little bit better, but it's a better option. Definitely a better option. But I'm glad that the streaming is going well. Yeah, that would be so frustrating. That would be so frustrating. Thankfully, when she's home, the dog is super quiet. It's just lonely. I'm hoping that as it gets used to living here, there will be less barking happening. But it could have been a lot worse. He was going to turn the downstairs into an Airbnb. I don't think he could get the license for it. And so, or the license was too expensive or whatever. So he backed out of doing the Airbnb, thankfully, because I've said this before. I live in what would be the Las Vegas of Canada. And so there are a lot of drunks that come to this city, and I know it would have been a complete nightmare to have drunks renting the downstairs space and then, you know, keeping me up during the day because they don't care. They're only here for a weekend or whatever. So I'd rather have a neighbor with a yappy dog who doesn't yap the whole time, you know? So I'll take my win where I can get it, I guess. Yeah, that's so frustrating. Like, some people just shouldn't have animals. Like, they just shouldn't. I'm on the fence about downstairs just because she's gone all day. It's like, it's not fair to the animal to just be kept alone all day long while she's at work. But that's her choice, I guess. But yes, so we're gonna continue with Callisto Protocol today. You know, I've been playing Zelda: A Link Between Worlds and Callisto Protocol. I also went out and modified my Switch Lite to see what that was like. That's really cool. That's really cool. And there's some games that I've gotten to try that I'm like, oh man, I wish I could stream these. But yeah, so we're just gonna continue with Callisto Protocol. I'm really enjoying this game. Yeah, and I'm really liking it. It's actually pretty decent. It's definitely got some issues. I can understand why it didn't do well. Overall, it's beautiful to look at. I said that like a million times on the last stream. It is fun to play, but it's a little bit repetitive in how you actually do the combat. It's not that the game itself has gotten repetitive yet, although I hear it does get really repetitive. But the actual physical combat itself is kind of repetitive, and it's almost idiot proof once you learn the patterns, which I don't remember the pattern anymore because it's been over a week. But that kind of takes away from it, and the fact that there is no like map or waypoint system that can kind of at least show you the direction you're supposed to go, and because it's an empty like space station style jail, everything looks the same, so it's really hard to know if you're going in the right direction. So like those would be the two major issues with the game that kind of take away from the fun, which makes me understand why the game has not performed as well as everybody was hoping it would perform. But I am enjoying it.
Enjoy live music, art installations, and delicious food and drinks, all with free admission.
I did hear about Concord. Actually, I posted a TikTok right as I was going live. ETHmaker, how you doing? Welcome. I don't know what DW stands for because I'm old. Yeah, no, I actually just hate the whole Harry Potter franchise. I think it's insanely boring. I was just slightly too old to get into the books, so I never, like, when I was young enough for like the first books, my parents didn't read to us, and if they did, it wasn't in English, so those books were not, I didn't even know they existed till I was about 20, when the movies came out. As the later books came out, I was way too old to ever look into them. So I never had any interest. As an adult, I tried watching them. I think they're stupid. I don't understand the fascination. I don't understand why millennials are so into like, what house are you? I think it is the stupidest franchise, and it's so blatantly racist that I'm just like zero interest in it. So no, I didn't know that the Quidditch game was coming out until about a week ago. There is no way in hell I'm gonna play that game. Oh, means don't worry. Oh, okay. I speak Spanish. But yeah, with Concord, that new shooter game from Sony, it's the one that's supposed to be like, I can never remember the other damn game. Overwatch. Yes. Yeah, they're shutting it down. They're no longer going to sell it. They are giving refunds to everybody because it only got like 600 players at one time. At least the last time I checked, it was like 675 or something. The last time I checked, that's all they could get to play at one time. That was the peak number. That was the maximum that they had. And I said it in my video that I talked about when I brought up the peak number thing. The day before, which most people knew was a scam, which had been delayed after delay after delay. It was very obvious it was going to be a garbage game. That game got like 10 times more players than this first party well-made game. Well-made as in like you knew that the company was actually going to make it and not just like steal a bunch of assets allegedly like those other guys did. But like it couldn't even get more than 700 players. If they reached 1,000, maybe, but like that's nothing for a brand new first party game. So yeah, apparently they're releasing it. Yeah, I mean, I would actually presume it'd be higher on PS5 because it was free for Game Pass or PlayStation Gold or whatever. And it was supposed to be a PlayStation game, so that's kind of where it was being pushed. But even then, even if we double it, 1,400 players, 1,200 players is nothing. Like, that's just nothing. It's horrible. So yeah, I didn't know they were shutting it down. I knew that they were refunding and they weren't going to sell it anymore. I didn't read far enough to see that it was getting shut down. Somebody in my comments said that they should just make it free, which that should have been like the last ditch effort. Be like, here's all the refunds. The game will just be free. Anybody who wants to play it can play it. See if maybe we can at least muster up some interest in the game, and then, you know, sacrifice some time to maybe do some major update that would make the game interesting. But if they're just giving it away, then oh well. Deadlock. I don't remember Deadlock. The game that had stolen assets? No, that was the day before. That was supposed to be like a zombie shooter, and they showed footage that looked like insanely good graphically. It was when Unreal Engine 5 was first announced, and it was going to be the first Unreal Engine 5 game. Then it kept getting delayed. They didn't show any real gameplay. When they said it was gameplay, it was very obvious it wasn't, because of certain things that were happening within the game that it's like, there's no way this is actually gameplay. It's just pre-rendered stuff. And then they released the game, and it did use Unreal Engine, but it was all very obviously asset flips. It was glitchy as hell. There was nothing to do. The game was just really, really crap. And allegedly it was all just a big asset flip. But like, that game had like 10 times more players than Concord did. Now, Concord was trying to be like Overwatch. I said this in the video that I made originally, but basically Overwatch came out about 8 years ago. Concord took 8 years to develop. So everybody assumes, it's never been confirmed, but everybody assumes that Sony saw the success of Overwatch and started working on a competitor, and then took the 8 years to do it. Except they didn't realize, they didn't know that in 8 years, hero shooters were kind of be overdone, overplayed, that Overwatch had already done such a good job that anything else wouldn't do as well. And like, even Overwatch 2 has not done as well as Overwatch 1 did. So making a competitor, a knockoff version of the game, just was not going to do well to begin with. And then 8 years later, when everybody's already played it, it was going to really not do well. And Sony didn't predict that. They just looked at the cash that it was going to bring in, and now they're falling flat on their face. So I only bring up the other game because the other game was very clearly a scam, and it did so much better than Concord did. Like, that's how poorly Concord's doing, that even a scam outperformed them. Like, it's embarrassingly bad how Concord did. Yeah, and I don't know about the microtransactions in the game. I didn't play it, but it was a game that you had to buy. So I don't know how many microtransactions would be prevalent within the game, but it, like, for somebody like me, I don't play Overwatch. It's not my game. When I was making my video to talk about it, I pulled up Overwatch footage. I couldn't tell which game was which. And so the Overwatch players that could tell that that's not Overwatch are already Overwatch players. They're not going to transfer to a new game as easily. And players like me, I'm not interested in Overwatch. I see Concord, it just looks like Overwatch. So I'm just not going to be interested. So they did nothing to stand out, nothing to make it original. And so, like, although graphically it looked pretty, for somebody like me who's not into those games, it just looked like Overwatch. And so there was no way they were pulling in new players. And the Overwatch players, some would try it, but they're already locked into Overwatch. It's hard to convert them to a new game. So yeah, it looked pretty. I've heard mechanically it was fine. Like they didn't do anything amazing, which is why people hated it so much. Apparently for like the real hardcore players, it did have issues, but generically it was a decent game. But Sony basically just copied and pasted, so nobody was gonna play the game. So Sony really fell flat on their face, which is good. They can see that we aren't going to be duped all the time. But at the same time, it kind of sucks for the devs, because you know that either this company's now going to shut down, like the actual developers are going to shut down, a bunch of people are going to get fired, or they're just going to get split up and put into different companies now. And like that's heartbreaking, because so many companies are being shut down at this point. At the same time, yeah, the product kind of sucks. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they used old technology. That doesn't shock me at all, Ty. Yeah, it doesn't shock me at all. Dang, I'm on PlayStation. I never even heard of Concord. Yeah, and that's it. They barely promoted it. There were promotions, but it wasn't anything crazy. And again, when you look at the footage, like the video I made, I could not tell what was Concord and what was Overwatch. And I'm not like being facetious, because I screen grab gameplay footage to like throw in between as I'm talking, and when I throw it into my editing software, it only shows the screen grab name. It doesn't show what I'm actually recording. So all I would see was MOV00076 or whatever, and I couldn't tell what footage was the one that belonged to Overwatch, because I don't play Overwatch, so I can't like tell. But that's a bad thing when you can't tell that the new game is different than the old game, that are two totally different devs. So it's like it's really sad to not be able to distinguish a brand new game, and that most people hadn't heard of it, and it's failing, and it sucks. It sucks. I don't like games failing unless they're scams. I don't like games failing because it's hurtful to the rest of the industry, because there's less competition when these companies get shut down. There's less trust, and then more people flock to the crappy games like Call of Duty, because they know that that's safe. And it's frustrating, because then you get less people taking risks for new games that would be interesting to play. It kind of sucks. It kind of sucks. Exactly. It's good that it happened to Sony. Unfortunate that's happening to developers. It's kind of the same with Xbox. I'm glad that they're being called out right now, but it sucks for the gamers and for the developers that are owned by Microsoft, because like I'm feeling like they're going to shut down the Xbox department. I wouldn't be surprised. Then not now. Like they're not going to shut it down in a year or two. But it's not going to last long term. At least in my opinion. But I do think that they'll probably do something like one of those NVIDIA like stream boxes type of idea, where they'll sell an Xbox, but it won't actually be hardware. It's just going to be basically like a TiVo, I guess, a DVR, where you can like download your save files and stuff, but it won't actually run the game on the hardware. It's just going to run it off the cloud like they're doing right now. Because Microsoft, the CEO just doesn't care about gaming. And it's sad, because Microsoft has bought so many businesses, and they're just spitting in the face of developers, and it sucks. It really sucks. No, I didn't see the Phil Spencer quote. Hello, Night Owl. How you doing, man? How are you? let me just grab a drink of water, and then I'll get back here, and then we can start playing. Yeah, Microsoft now owns Blizzard, Activision, all those. You know what? I agree with him 100%. I agree with him. He is not a good judge of what is going to be successful or not. He does not. He had really good ideas when he first jumped in, but I think that was more to do with like the person before him had such horrible ideas that his ideas seemed even better than they were. They were good ideas, but they weren't great ideas. But now he's either become detached from gaming and just is not aware of what's happening, or never really understood, but because he was better than the last moron, it was better than nothing. But yeah, I would agree. He doesn't really know what people want because he's made so many statements that it's like, that's the complete opposite. Like when he made the comment, I don't remember what the exact quote was, so this is paraphrasing, but where he said something along the lines of like, nobody buys a console for a good game. And it's like, that's exactly why people buy the consoles. They buy it for the good game. Like if I had a choice between PlayStation and an Xbox, because everything was on both consoles, why would I choose one over the other? Besides like the aesthetics, or besides like just like being a fan, basically loyalty. It's for the games, it's for the exclusives. And him saying that people don't buy games or consoles for exclusives is like, dude, that's, or like that exclusives aren't going to make consoles sell amazingly. But it's like, dude, that's exactly why they sell amazingly. Like people buy Sony not because Sony makes a better version of Call of Duty. They look the same on both consoles overall, like unless you're gonna like 8 times zoom in. But they buy Sony because they've got Uncharted, and they've got the Astrobot games, they've got The Last of Us. That's why they go for it. So it's like he really is out of touch about what would make a good game or what wouldn't. But right now he's kind of our only hope because the CEO himself has made it clear that he just doesn't care. Like he really doesn't. Yeah, they've absolutely failed to keep up, and that's exactly it. Everybody bought Switch for Zelda. I only ever buy Nintendo products because I like the Mario games and I like the Zelda games. That's the only reason. I know there's like Xenoblade on there. I know there's Pikmin on there. I know there's Metroid on there, and I do like those games. But I specifically buy Nintendo consoles for those 2 franchises. Sony, I originally did Sony just because it looked cool. It was like the teenager system. But once I got into it, it's like I liked Metal Gear and I liked Resident Evil. And yeah, you could get Resident Evil on the N64, but like it performed better on the PlayStation. It had the full cutscenes at full resolution on the PlayStation. I liked the Final Fantasy games. Like there were games on there that I enjoyed that you couldn't get anywhere else. I mean, Metal Gear 4 is still only on the PS3 and not available anywhere else. So yeah, people buy consoles for specific reasons. And Xbox has Gears and Halo. And like I personally don't like either of those franchises. Gears 1 I really enjoyed, but I enjoyed it more playing co-op with my brother. Halo, I liked the first Halo, but I don't like the space lasers type of weapons because they don't feel like they do any damage. So for me, it's just not a fun game. I got the latest Halo because I bought my Xbox. I had Game Pass. It was free on there. I tried it and it was like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but it's just not cool enough for me to want to keep playing it. And Microsoft just doesn't get it. They just don't get that people want something that is really made to milk every ounce of power from that console to show us what the console is made of. Because like on paper, the PlayStation is less powerful than the Xbox. The Xbox should be making games that like make the PlayStation look inferior. And they're just not doing it. And Microsoft has more money. They could invest so much money into getting some real top-notch gaming done on there, and they're just not doing it. And the leadership just doesn't know. Yeah, his intentions are good. He's just not good at what he does. Yeah, Bloodborne, that's another one. No, Phil Spencer Phil Spencer, I don't know if he's the CEO, but I know he's the head of the Xbox division, but he still answers to the CEO of Microsoft. And Microsoft makes the choices. And Microsoft is interested in Microsoft Office and Windows, because that's where they make all their money. Maybe not so much Windows anymore, but Microsoft Office is where they make all their money. And so Microsoft doesn't care about gaming. They're just not interested. The CEO is this like middle-aged guy that you can tell has probably only ever played like Atari back when he was like 6 and then decided that gaming was for kids. He's got zero interest in what Microsoft, what Xbox is doing. I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing to shut down Xbox, because like some of the shutdown, some of the closure that's happened has not come from Phil Spencer and that part. It's come from Microsoft's side. So like Microsoft doesn't care. Microsoft will be happy to shut down Xbox and just put more money towards their stupid Office stuff. Yeah, games are not coming to Xbox now, which is ridiculous. With the power the Xbox has, it shouldn't be a problem. But like Black Myth hasn't come. But now the thing I was talking about, there's a developer that's making a game that's like a Soulsborne game, but it's based on like Italian mythology apparently. And they called out Microsoft either yesterday or today or something, basically saying, we ported the game, it's ready to go, we are ready to just send it to your store, and you haven't answered any of our emails in 4 months. What's going on? So Xbox is literally just ignoring everything. It's not even like the devs don't want to put games out there. Xbox is just saying, screw it, which is a slap in the face of developers, but it's also a slap in the face of us. Because it's like developers want to put consoles, like stuff out on your console, and you're just choosing to ignore them. That's insulting. It's disgusting. And like that more so makes me want Xbox to fail. I'm a big Xbox fan, but that makes me want Xbox to fail, because not only are you just taking missteps, but you're intentionally just not caring, which is ridiculous. Yeah, so that's the game. They just called them out for it. They had, apparently there was a Discord message or something about internal communication that got leaked out, showing the head developer, the CEO, whatever of the company, basically saying, like, guys, we have everything done, but they're not answering us, so this game is probably not going to go out on Xbox. And once it leaked, he put out a tweet basically being like, hey guys, can you guys like tweet this out to Xbox, because we've been done for 4 months and they've just ignored us. So like they're full out just saying, hey Xbox, stop being bags, because we're ready, you're just ignoring us, which is like ridiculous. And what do I think about the Black with Wuhan thing? Okay, that I don't know enough about that part of things. So for those who don't know, there was this whole drama about Black Myth when it first came out, of some leaked prerequisites of what you could and could not do in your review for Black Myth. And there were things like you couldn't talk about like championing women's rights, you couldn't talk about like negative things about China, you couldn't talk about COVID. I think it's pretty BS personally, but if you look at it in the bigger picture of things, it wouldn't be outside of the norm, because the CCP controls everything that the media says in their own country, and so they would put that out not as a we don't support these beliefs statement, but as a this is what the rules are in our country and we don't want to get in trouble, so you can't talk about it either type of situation. It could also be a part of like, this is just their culture, and so they don't realize how it is seen from the outside, which is a bit more of a loose grasp, because obviously the world is much more connected and a company like that would not know what's happening. I don't think it was as deep of a statement as some people are making it out to be, because there are things that I get asked in my videos when I get sent out that I'm allowed to say or not allowed to say. Not to that extreme, but there are things that I am allowed to say and I'm not allowed to say about products that get sent out to me. And so like it's not that huge of a drama. I think people were rightfully disgusted by that, but at the same time, a lot of people were trying to milk it for more than what it was just to get the views. You know what I mean? Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I don't agree with it. I think it was a really stupid thing. I probably would have not done the review had they put that rule out for me. At the same time, the reason I think that it wasn't like a targeted thing, like some people were trying to shape it out to be, not because I don't think that's stupid or because I think that feminism is something that shouldn't be talked about in gaming. No, I've been a big champion on those morons that think women shouldn't game. But I think it's just so out of left field on a game that has nothing to do with any of that kind of subject matter for them to put it in their prerequisites that it almost feels like it was something that they did without thinking deeper than just these are the rules. Like the COVID thing, what does COVID have to do with gaming at all? I think that's more like they are, I don't know if they're state sponsored or not, but like I think I remember reading that like part of their ownership is from the state, and so like I'm sure there are certain rules that they must abide by to receive the money, and so they're kind of like the messenger that's sending out the rules. They're also guilty because they're going with the rules too, but I think there's a lot less, how am I trying to phrase this? Like there's a lot less ick than some people were trying to put on it. There is ick there, but they're trying to make it something that it's not, instead of just like being grossed out by what it is. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Exactly. Now mentioning it, everybody's going to talk about it. It's like it was stupid of them to do anyway. But yeah, it's kind of that whole thing of like, there is a problem there, but by turning it into something that it's probably not, you're almost diminishing what the problem is. I'm not saying that's what you're doing. I'm saying, I think that's what a lot of people did is like, yeah, this is kind of gross. But a lot of people were trying to spin it as in like, this is a sexist company who's doing this because they're sexist. When I feel like there's probably a lot more in there, because I don't think a giant company, not a giant company, but a company that was trying to make their first nationally praised game, internationally praised game, would be so unaware of how this would affect them that they would say it because they're just sexist pigs. I think there's a deeper, more significant thing going on with like the CCP and all that part of it. But so many people were spinning it as in like the devs were the pigs, and it's like I'm sure there are pigs in the development company, but I think that was more due to the higher ups, Big Brother crossing their arms over their shoulders type of thing. But I do think it was gross. I do think it was very gross that they did that. I probably would not have accepted that. I've rejected many companies based on just my moral beliefs. I had a quote unquote patriot message me asking me to promote their garbage. I'm not even gonna say what their product was because I refuse to, but I will laugh at the fact that they called themselves patriots, and then just spewed a bunch of nonsense. It wasn't even like stuff that was misinformation. It was just nonsense. And so I flat out made fun of them, and then I told them I would never work with them because had they spent more than 30 seconds on my video, because they did mention people of my complexion or of my
There's gotta be $4 in my kid's piggy
color
bank.
accuracy, my color temperature.
Wait.
If they had spent more than 30 seconds on my channel, they would know that I am one of the people they are mocking in their comment. And so like, stupid people. So like I've definitely said no, just based on morals. I've had some companies reach out for things that I don't agree with, not because I'm offended by it, but because like I've worked in healthcare and I've had people, reach out for supplements. I refuse to sell supplements. There are people that have come out and sent like vaping machines that they want to send me. I refuse to do those too because I worked in healthcare. I saw what those things can do. I will not shill a toxic chemical to children. So yeah, and I refuse to do stuff that I morally don't believe in. So I probably wouldn't have done Black Myth had they sent it to me. I would have been really excited. I probably would have played it, but hadn't seen those rules, I would have been like, no, I don't want to partake. But yeah, I think it was just one of those things where for clicks it was kind of overblown. Not overblown. It was spun in a way that almost detracted from what the actual issue was. That's what I'm trying to say. The funny thing is, you can mention. Yeah, I agree with you, Ty. I agree with you. You know, and that's why I think like the thing, like the whole drama of it was spun in a way that like it did a disservice to what the issue is, but it also enough people saw through that they still went through the game, and the game was good. People are absolutely loving the game. I think there is a need for more games like that. Absolutely, there's a need for more games like that. More first-party games. Like, I'm really excited for Astrobot. I can't afford it, but I'm really excited for Astrobot, and I'm really hopeful that it'll do well, because we need more games like that too. Games that are just video games, that aren't trying to be a movie, that are just goofy, dumb, fun times. Like, Nintendo can do it. You know, they do Zelda, they do Mario, where it can just be a dumb, fun time, where there's not really... Well, Zelda's gotten a lot deeper with their stories, but, like, it's not like The Last of Us, where it's, like, an emotional, heart-wrenching thing. Or I can't remember what it's friggin' called. Call of the Mountain... The one with the redheaded woman. I can't remember what it's called. But anyways, those games, like where there's like this really deep, intricate story. I do love those, and those are my favorite types of games. But I want games like Astrobot or Moss, Pixel Rift, where it's like a really light-hearted story, where it's more about just like playing a goofy, fun game versus like a really deep story. Like, we need more games that have that kind of variety rather than Call of Duty or, you know, Overwatch or Fortnite. Like, yeah, competitive shooters have their place, but the first person or first party single player narrative driven or action driven games, they do really, really, really well. It's just they know that the whales from Fortnite, the whales from Call of Duty, all those games, they will continually spend money the whole time they play it, versus, you know, Uncharted, where you buy it once and that's it, and they don't really make any extra money from you. And that's the downside. Zero Dawn, that's it. Horizon Zero Dawn. Yep, Horizon Zero Dawn. Couldn't remember. I was like, something Call of the Mountain. Forbidden West. I can't remember what it's called. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn. That's the one. Yeah, and that's exactly it. It's just like Hollywood, where they're just releasing the same crap over and over and over again, and the quality is going down and down and down, and then they're questioning why they're not making money, and then they're just blaming us, saying, well, they're not interested in movies. No, we're not interested in the same photocopy crap that is lower quality than the original. Because like Call of Duty, when the OG Call of Duty was out, it was awesome, but obviously there's only so much you can do with World War II narrative first-person shooters. Then they did like the online competitive thing for like Modern Warfare and even Modern Warfare 2. And it's like, okay, those are good. And then they just kept doing it. And it's like, okay, we're done with this. Please do something else. And as the numbers continue to dwindle, they're just going, oh, people are just not interested in gaming. It's like, no, we are. We're just not interested in the exact same game for the 15th time. And it was the same thing that was happening with the narrative-driven stories before all this online stuff happened. A lot of it was just, oh, people aren't interested in like Metal Gear 5. It's like, well, we're interested in other other single-player games. We just don't want the exact same game over and over again. Give us something a little bit different. Give us something new, you know? Do I have Steam open? I do not. Give me a second. I'll open up Steam and look. And then we'll get started, because I've been talking for a while. But yeah, it's greed. It's always greed. That's what it always is. It all comes down to it just being greed, and it really sucks, because there are some really cool games out there with some really cool ideas. Like anybody who has VR, you need to check out Pixel Rift. That is a great game series. It is really fun. It has a story, but the story is nothing crazy. Like you're a character in a video game who is trying to save the gaming world by taking over the human playing the video game. And that's basically the story. And then it's just about playing the game in like cool little circumstances. And it's so fun. Obviously it's limited to VR, but it's so fun. What other games have I been really playing? I've been playing Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is such an underrated game. It's like Minecraft, but with a bit of a story. And the story has some like depth to it, but the depth is as far as, oh, the bad guy got rid of all the builders and is like spreading his woe all along the world. And then you are a builder and you're gonna fight back by just building stuff, which brings happiness to people. And then they just ask you to build different things, like, oh, build me a house and it's gotta have these things in it. Oh, we need seeds. You gotta find this guy to get these seeds. And it's like, it's such dumb, basic gameplay narratives. And then it's Minecraft mechanics, build things basically. It's such a fun game, and like I can spend hours and hours and hours in those games. Whereas like something like Concord, I'm like, yeah, no, not fun at all. Mr. FOV, how you been, man? How's life? You know what? I've heard so many good things about Hades. I'm really tempted to try it. I don't really like those whatever they're called, the ones that where you die and you start again. I don't like those games too much because I like the feeling of progression, but that's 100% a taste thing. That's not saying that those games are shit like I do with Call of Duty, but I do want to try it because I've heard so many good things that maybe this will be the one that I'll like, because I also know that I didn't like builder games, and then I tried Minecraft and I really liked it, and obviously Minecraft was the OG one that really blew up, but I had tried other games that were very similar and they weren't for me. So maybe this would be the one. A run is only like 30 minutes. Really? Maybe I'll do that. Yeah, and like that's not enough progression for me, and that's the thing. It's like the repetitiveness. Even though you're upgrading and getting stronger, it's still the same thing over and over again. Even though like the levels will be like procedurally generated or whatever, it's just the same thing over and over again. And so there's never anything new to kind of push you forward that I feel progresses me. It's fine. Like I do like the leveling up part. I don't like games that don't add that. But I also want something that makes me feel like, oh, this time I'm doing something different instead of I'm doing just the same thing again. Oh, nice, Mr. FOV. Seems like you're taking more of a hands-on approach at work. That's great. Just 13 minutes, that's crazy. But yeah, that's the issue, is the repetitiveness I would struggle with. And not because the game is the exact same thing over and over again. It's just the progress is so limited that every time you do it, it's like external progress. It almost to me feels like the bonus part of a video game. Like when I played Metal Gear on the Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1, you play through the whole story, you beat the game, and depending on how you beat it, you can unlock unlimited bullets or the invisibility cloak. And so the first time I unlocked the invisibility power. And so it was fun to go through part of the game being invisible and kind of screwing around with the AI being invisible. I didn't beat the game that way. But then I went back and played the game from beginning to end because I wanted the unlimited bullets. Once I beat it with that, I went back and I only played like the first hour with unlimited bullets just because I wanted to shoot them with different weapons. But that was it. It didn't make me want to play it again. And Hades is that, like games like that, that's what they are. You beat the game and you get a bit of a power up and you go back and just beat the game with the power up. And it's like that just feels like a bonus thing for me. I'm not saying that that's what makes the game bad. It's just that to me is not an incentive. And so to me, that is not progression. That is not moving forward. That is just playing with a different coat of paint. And it just doesn't add anything to it enough for me for it to be different. What's my favorite PS2 game? I was not a giant PS2 fan. I liked PS2, but there was nothing on the PS2 that I look at and go, oh man, that was really a great game. There are games that came out on the PS2 but are out on everything else that are really good, but it's not like when I look at Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo where I'm like, so many fun memories. I can go back and play that today on the Super Nintendo and it's still just as fun. There's nothing on the PS2 that makes me do that. The PS1, like there's Metal Gear I can play on there, Resident Evil I can play on there that like really bring me back to those days. PS2 doesn't have that for me. There are good PS2 games, but there's nothing that would be my favorite PS2 game. Okay, I'm looking for Ty's message real quick. Thank goodness you are here. Let me look at that. Kuon isn't my favorite. It was just a really good horror game that I really, really enjoyed. I'm just proud of it. It sits on my shelf right there. It's off camera. It sits on my shelf just because it's supposed to be one of the rarest PS2 games, and I got it on a fluke. It is a really good game, but it's not one that I look back at fondly. And like when I think PS2, I instantly think that. Like when I think Super Nintendo, I instantly think the Mickey Mouse Circus Mystery, Mickey and Minnie Circus Mystery. I think Goof Troop. I think Aladdin. I think Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and Super Ghouls and Ghosts. Like those 6 games instantly come to mind when I think of Super Nintendo. When I think of PS1, instantly think of Silent Hill, Resident Evil, Twisted Metal, Metal Gear, Crash Bandicoot. Those are the games that like instantly, PS1, that's what I think. PS2, I don't think of anything. When I stop and I'm like, PS2, I mean, there's Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12, there's Metal Gear 2, Metal Gear 3. Like I have to actually think, and none of it makes me go, oh my god, yeah, I need a PS2 for that. None of them make me have that feeling. And a lot of the games that I like on the PS2 are available pretty much everywhere else. And so like there's nothing that makes me think, wow. That being said, the PS2 was graphically such a huge leap forward in gaming, and the games were all phenomenal. It's just there was such a huge sea of games at the time that nothing really stood out to me to go, wow. I was also at the age where the nostalgia part had passed, and so there is not that connection anymore for that. So I think that plays a big part, is I just don't have the nostalgia. It's kind of like when I look at the DS. The DS is really cool. There are a couple of games I think of when I think about the DS, but the nostalgia isn't there, so there's no like, oh, I need a DS because I need to replay these games. Yeah, see, and I played the Lord of the Rings games on the GameCube. Yeah, I do remember the Guy game, Michael Jackson. I do remember the Guy game. That was, the whole channel was, or the show was nuts. Okay, thank goodness you are here. Let me look real quick. I keep forgetting. Absurdly comic slap former. Oh, you know what? I don't think this game would be for me. This is the kind of comedy. Oh, shut up. This is the kind of Okay, I'm back. Something's going on with my internet. I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't think I'd be a fan of that game.